Hey y'all, Southern Sleuth here and back at it again. It's time for another Nancy Drew analysis. Which breed of dog would each Nancy Drew video game character have? As a reminder, I do take into account the personality, location, and job of each character when choosing their breed, and I try to find the one that best suits or even helps better their lifestyle. This is video 11 of at least 35 and hopefully many more. So if you haven't already watched video number 1 about this series, go back, take a look, and get some further context. You'll finally get to learn if Frank and Joe Hardy would be responsible pet owners or not. It's my video about the main Nancy Drew characters, and I'll link it in the description below. Once again, we're spinning the wheel to determine which Nancy Drew game we are analyzing next. Also, while the wheel is having its moment, be sure to check out some other Nancy Drew YouTubers like DJ Twin Gamers. They've got some really great non-commentary playthroughs and some really good music compilations. You won't regret it. Speaking of regret, anyone wishing we had been able to leave this place before the snowstorm hit us? Time for a deadly device. Please note that this video will contain some fairly major spoilers due to the nature of these characters' roles. So if you've not yet completed the deadly device, I do recommend skipping this video and waiting for the next one. Go catch up on the others you might have missed. Alright, leave this video in 3, 2, 1. Let's get sleuthing, y'all. Depending on if it's day or night in the game, we have different suspects we can interact with. While we all have our favorites, a general consensus seems to be that we collectively like Ryan Kilpatrick. Not only does she have a boy's name, which was all the rage in the 2000s, but she likes gummy bears. So relatable. Bet she likes pizza too. As one of the technical engineers at Technology of Tomorrow today, she stays pretty dang busy in her workshop, and you'd think she'd be very introverted as a result. But instead, she's one of the friendliest characters in this game, and seems to have a personality that reminds me a lot, and apparently some others too, of Bess Marvin. She's quite lively, relatively easygoing, and fairly trusting. Although, I think the big difference here is Bess would probably not want to ride on a motorcycle. Maybe if Sunny June was driving it. I'd have to think about that one. But it meant I needed a dog who would be comfortable riding Ryan's motorcycle, but would also be happy just chilling at the shop. Growing up, I had a dog who was happy to hop in a go-kart with me and go flying over the dirt hills that we had on our land. He was a Maltese, so I decided that would work perfectly with Ryan. The Maltese is a small dog and can easily go in one of those carrying backpacks to ride off into the sunset. They're also intelligent and trainable, which would definitely be to Ryan's benefit in the shop. The Maltese is known for being vigorous and fearless, which we can see Ryan leaning into as she attempts to help us find the culprit and keep her name cleared. Plus, if your boss had accused you of murder, would you be able to leave the police station and go right back to work the next day? Honestly, I'd be putting in my 2 weeks notice, effective immediately. Not Ryan though. She was full of courage to go back in. Like the Maltese, she keeps on trucking. Also during the day, we find our not so good friend Mason Quinto. He seems like the type to own a very picky bird, but also a bird would probably knock stuff off of his table and make him very angry all day long. So no, never mind, no bird. Mason needs a dog who will protect his workspace from snoopy amateur detectives and their klepto hands. Although the joke around the office is that Mason is not human, we know that he is, and at the end of the day, don't you think all people could benefit from a little love and affection from a cute dog? We just gotta be sure that whatever we get him is the right dog and won't chew his pins and eat his sticky notes. After much research, I settled on the Azawak. It's an odd breed of dog. They have very big issues with research guarding according to my research. In other words, this dog breed does not want anyone touching their things, which reminds me of our dear old Mason. The dog is hopefully the dog will guard his stuff and Mason's stuff, and it won't be the dog guarding his stuff from Mason and Mason guarding his stuff from the dog. We'll just have to see how this is going to work out. They're just really going to have to work hard at their relationship and make sure that they maintain a healthy balance of give and take. They're also highly intelligent dogs and can be fiercely independent. I really don't think Mason would enjoy a dog constantly begging for his attention. So to avoid having a poor, miserable, and neglected dog, I decided it would be best to give Mason one that likes their alone time too. I still feel like this is one of those characters that it would be really hard to get him any sort of dog that he would be happy to have, but what do you think? Now that it's nighttime, we can go visit the other side of the office and meet Ellie York, the research assistant who claims to have a very strong dislike of Mason and enjoys making him tick. Although Mason doesn't want us messing around in Ellie's cubicle, she seems to have no issue letting us mess with his as long as we win that game first. Although dedicated to her work, she does seem a bit scatterbrained at times, considering she can't even tell us how long she's been working there, even though she says it's been 2 years or less. I've been at my job longer than that, and I can definitely still tell you the exact date that I started. Anyways, for Ellie, we definitely need a dog who can hang out with her at the office, probably watch over her stuff too so Nancy doesn't snoop, and would also be a bit of a comfort to Ellie. She seems to be a long way from home. So to bring Ellie that comfort, I have paired her up with a Bichon. They're small enough to happily hang at the office, but are not really your normal fearful small dog and don't have as much of a Napoleon complex as some other small dogs might. They're good family dogs, and we know Ellie has a soft spot for her cousin. They also used to be bred as show dogs, so imagine if Ellie could teach it to go mess with Mason's stuff, or to win the game in the break room. Now that would be crazy. Overall, they are an agreeable breed, which Ellie comes across as pretty agreeable when it comes to Nancy, for the most part. She even shows her the lab after a little bit of encouragement. Clearly, she enjoys a little bit of social interaction, and she's not going to get that from Mason. So, a dog it is. Next up on the night shift is our security man himself, Grayson Courtwright. Gray Courtwright. Maybe he should be Grayson and Mason. Anyways. I think he's my favorite character in the game, but Ryan is still obviously right up there with him. While he appears to be exactly what you think a security guard would be, stoic, cold, focused, we learn throughout the game that there is also a very different side to him. He's intelligent, clever, loyal, and resourceful. Although his passwords are a little too easy to bypass, his entire subplot is one that requires him to have a lot of forward thinking, a lot of future thinking to pull off, and he wants a better future for everybody. So that's his main goal, it seems to be. He makes it really hard to understand that, though, when you consider how intimidating he is and how less than forthcoming he is with any information. Instead, he ends up coming across as suspicious with all those accesses to tightly secure places. Do you know what breed of dog is considered to be intimidating looking and dangerous, but is usually actually a good family dog with the right people? A Rhodesian Ridgeback. Also, they are just gorgeous. I mean, look at them! It's also interesting to point out that they were made famous for their ability to track and corner lions without actually unaliving the lion. Acting scary and dangerous without actually causing anyone harm? It sounds a little familiar. The Ridgeback is also a very independent dog with a strong prey drive. They like to work alone, and they're very dedicated to their work. Also sounds very familiar, y'all. At the end of the day, though, both Gray and the Ridgeback are very dedicated to their people, and when they actually find the right person to be loyal to, it's till death do us part. Both of them just need someone worthy of their affection and attention, which Gray seems to have found, and perhaps the Ridgeback can find that worthiness in Gray. So now that we've gone through all of our in-person characters... Wait, who just walked in? Victor Lawsett? What is he doing here? If you recall, he's the one who hired Nancy to come here in the first place. It is rather odd, though, when you consider the recommendation that Deirdre gave to Victor about Nancy was pretty bad. Why would he want a detective who's actually not so good at her job? Or at least he thinks she's not so good at her job. And who hires someone for the job and then won't let them explore all the pertinent places? Anyhow, Victor is a strict and stern man who has only one goal in mind. He's rather pessimistic and wants other people to do his dirty work. This doesn't exactly make him a good dog owner, so we're going to have to be very careful when pairing him up with a dog. This is definitely going to have to be one of those matches where the dog makes the owner a better person, because he desperately needs to become a better person. Let's give Victor a Norfolk Terrier. This is a terrier breed, which automatically means they have a tendency to be territorial. Once again, so many of these characters would benefit from a dog who would alert them when someone entered into their private spaces. This dog is also sturdy and could handle all of Victor's quirks. Perhaps the terrier can even put Victor in his place, as they tend to be a little jealous, possessive, and bossy. Oh, you think that's your office, Victor? Your lab? I think the dog might have something to say about that. Better learn to lower your tone and speak in a kinder demeanor quick before that dog begins ruining your life. They used to fox hunt, and why can't I picture Victor getting into something like that? Speaking of fox hunting, although I don't always do this, I did want to add in Niko Jovic to the pile, as I found what I felt like was a really good dog for him. We never actually get to meet Niko, but the proof is in the pudding. He's a hardworking man dedicated to his practice in the field of science, and his goal, like Gray, is to make energy more accessible and better for everyone. A modern-day Tesla, if you will. His pursuit of this led him to some very dangerous situations, but he was unwilling to give up his dream, even when things seemed to be taking a turn for the worse. Singularly minded, like many of our characters, Niko could have really used a canine companion that would have watched his back when it came to that fateful night in the lab. The English foxhound is a breed of dog that sounds exactly like its name suggests. It's a hound who can and will become literally entirely focused on its one pursuit, the fox, and would be hard-pressed to turn around and leave the reward behind unobtained. Just like Niko is in the top of his field, the foxhound is the top fox hunting breed, known for having amazing scenting abilities and crazy endurance once it's on the chase. They are also easily trained with the right motivations. Working together, Niko and the foxhound can use each other as reminders to take breaks from their pursuits while still understanding and respecting the other one's need for the larger goal. While they are at work, though, they can both be independent and not deter each other from their life's work. Niko is just going to have to get used to going outside of the lab every so often and let the dog, run in a yard or something. And that's it. All of the characters of Deadly Device now have happy hounds by their sides and are better for it. Did you agree? Let me know in the comments below. I'm curious though, if you work in an office, would you want an office dog? Do you think it would be a distraction or a potential allergy irritant or help morale and give more work from home people a reason to come into the office? Imagine a Nancy Drew game where all the characters work from home. It would give us a lot of homes to rank. If you enjoyed this video, consider liking and giving me a follow. You can also find me on Instagram under the same name. Thanks for sleuthing, y'all.